A big topic right now, are the kids driving you apart? The answer is yes. Just joking. Not really. Karen Gordon is here to talk about it because there probably are more couples that are separating, and it's because they've got differences in child rearing. They're not spending enough time together because of the kids. We are a very child-focused society. So let's talk a little bit about why kids might be the reason and how to not go that route.
Yes. You know what, it's interesting. When I do marriage counseling, when I actually ask couples, when did things start going south? Usually they will tell me after their first child. It's probably one of the most common answers actually I get. And there's a lot of reasons, and these are things that we kind of know, but number one is we are absolutely exhausted.
Yes.
I don't know about you, but I need my 9 hours, and if I don't get my 9 hours, I really feel like my ability to manage my emotions is a lot more difficult. So, you know, so we're physically exhausted. We don't have as much time. And you know, I actually, when we had our boys, I remember saying to Brent, I'm like, what did we do with all of our time? Like, what did we do with all of our time for our kids, right?
What did we do on Saturday?
What did we do? Like, it's like kids are like
what happened on Saturdays?
It's so all-consuming. Like,
Yes.
it's so all-consuming, 24/7. And then here's another one that's very common. I hear this from husbands. A lot of times when that new baby arrives, a lot of times the mom just falls in love, and the dad does too. But then a lot of dads, they feel a little bit left out.
Yeah.
And I hear this a lot. I've actually had dads say, I felt abandoned, I felt left out, I feel like I'm not as important. So all of a sudden it's kind of like there's a couple, the woman kind of shifts, and the dad is kind of left behind. And that's why it's so critical to get husbands bonding with their children right from the get-go, not just for the child, but also for the relationship.
I remember before I had kids, I used to hear that, and I would just say, oh, come on, men, like, buck up. Seriously?
Right.
Like, you're jealous of your baby? Give me a break. And then I had the baby, and you realize the extent of the connection. You know, when you're nursing, that's time that has to be one-on-one, and a lot of people assume that babies want to be with their moms. It's not necessarily the truth. Dads can change diapers just as well as moms can. They can take walks with the baby just as well as a mom can. So you do have to get them in there.
You have to get them
really
and you
early.
have
And
really
step
early.
back. So don't criticize every single thing like I did. You're doing it wrong. No, you're going to break him. No.
Because otherwise
like,
they're not going to want to do it. And they've actually done some studies around the correlation between how many diapers a dad changes and how close the relationship is with the child.
Ooh, interesting.
So it's very, very, very important for women to step back and allow the dad to kind of step in. So, I mean, I think we know a lot of times the reasons with why, but the thing is around fixing it. And kind of creating a bit of a solution plan. So one of the things I like to do with couples is once they kind of hit this new stage, to kind of visualize, okay, you're here, what's the goal, what do you actually want with your relationship, and what are some of the barriers you particularly have that's actually going to be blocking it. And figure out whatever that obstacle is, and then you actually figure out an exact solution for it. Okay? So for example, I had a client just a month ago that she's about to give birth to her baby. And she was talking about how she was completely sleep deprived. And I said, I totally get it. So what's your plan? She's like, well, what do you mean, what's my plan? I'm like, you need a plan. That's the obstacle, so what's the plan going to be? And so also we were brainstorming that she decided that she was going to go to, her husband was going to get a whole bunch of frozen food. Highly recommend you just stock up the freezer, with a lot of food. And then I said, have you thought about pumping? She said, no. She's like, I said, for me, that was huge. That was huge. And so I decided to pump for 6 months, so I got the breast milk, but then what that meant is that I could actually go to bed a little bit earlier. Brent could actually do a feeding, so I could get like 6 hours of sleep.
It's just huge.
And then all of a sudden, I was able to still be a normal person and actually have a relationship with my husband.
You're not weepy. You can think. You
and
have
not
a
resentful.
Memory.
Like I'm
You're
doing
not
all the work.
resentful.
Exactly. And so the idea is, whatever you have to really think solution oriented around this. What exactly is the obstacle, and what are the specific things you could do to making sure that we've got that connection time?
Because you can make it better.
You can, but you have to. I think the biggest thing is that it doesn't happen naturally. We have to be very proactive. And the more that we can do things on routine and habit is great. Another one of my clients, to have that connection time, she said that she doesn't have a babysitter. I'm like, then you need to find a babysitter. Listen, there is so many young people that need work. You need to make that a priority and make it. So what she ended up doing is she did every Friday night. Every Friday night, the sitter came over. Every Friday night. So it wasn't kind of a little bit of planning here. It's like, okay, I should book it. No, every Friday. It was like it was autopilot.
That's great.
You know, and so I think part of it is that we have to be really, we've got to just kind of take a little bit of time and
Yeah.
brainstorm it. And by the way, husbands love this. So if you were to, you know, talk to your husband, say, okay, what do you think our obstacle is that's affecting our relationship, and let's brainstorm what are potential solutions for it. Husbands like that.
Yeah.
Versus kind of complaining, oh, we're not connected. Oh, you know, and we tend to do that as women a little bit.
Yeah.
So you want to
So
kind of
let's
shift
just
gears.
try and fix it.
Fix it.
What do you do when you are having a conversation with your husband and the boys keep jumping in?
So, well, that's a really good question because it's what they call a triangle in counseling language, right? So
Okay.
if we're talking, all of a sudden somebody now joins in, it's kind of creating a triangle. What you want to do is you want to redirect and say, excuse me, I'm talking, you need to wait.
How many times can you say that in a conversation?
Many.
Because I feel like that,
Yeah.
I feel like there's almost a radar that goes off when
Yeah.
Leo and I want to have a conversation. Do. They're trying to talk.
Yeah.
The funniest thing with my kids is I'll actually go in to hug Leo, and Eva will pop up in between us. It's like it's like there's a magnet or something. It's amazing.
Is
It's
she
almost
your
like,
emotional barometer in your family? I call it.
I don't know. They're both like that, though.
both
They're
like
both
that.
like, how can I intersect into this conversation? And there'll be a little head there. So
Yeah.
it's a lot of, you've got to wait. You've got to say, excuse me. You've got to wait your turn. Mommy and Daddy are talking.
Yeah.
But it's constant.
Yeah. And I think, well, part of it is that they want to be connected with you. So, I mean, that's a good
But
thing.
they're
right?
very
But it's overlaid.
connected to me.
So you want to kind of get them to break out of that. And so
Yeah.
if it persists, then you're almost talking about an etiquette issue, and you could even do a
Yes.
consequence. You could do like the marble thing and take away a marble.
Right.
Right? Say, listen,
Okay.
I've told you 3 times, you are interrupting me.
Don't interrupt.
Do not interrupt. Mommy and Daddy need this time right now.
Yeah.
And if they continue, then you can actually take away marble.
Okay, we're taking away marbles.
Take away marble.
That's what's happening,
It's always
kids.
back to the marble game.
Thanks for the advice, Karen. Let's go to break.